we don't realize we're in that trap of self can't get out of self because we don't, the system believes self can get out of self and it just keeps on trying. And I don't think it has the ability to learn. In my case, it didn't. I had to be struck sober, but I think AA opens the possibility of learning that self can't get out of self. Yeah. And you don't have to, and maybe not the hard way, but whatever it takes it's going to take that. But that was, they have those, one of the most stubborn delusions if is confronted with our unmanageability. The head just says, if I can only manage better, that would change everything. This is the self can't get out of self is a much stronger delusion than that. It just does not believe that. It believes Paul can get out of self, but Paul is self. Yeah, we're identified as self. So self can't get out of self. Paul doesn't think so. And so it would just keep trying. Yeah. Spirituality, addiction, rehabs, institutionalization, rural, urban, whatever. It just was, it just didn't have I thought it was a personal aberration, but I see it as the system. The system is aberrated. It doesn't have a default mechanism. It just keeps on believing something that life has told it many, many times is not believable. Yeah, and many of us just don't get it until we go way, way, way down or pass away or something. Yeah. So perhaps there is a better way, and there is a solution. Incredible. So it's not a solution that's going to get self out of self. There's an admittance self can't get out of self. And then you see you're not self. Yeah. Hallelujah. Literally. Yeah. This recovery held by the head can be used to get out of self. And self can't get out of self. That's one of the big discoveries of our community. One of the most profound statements in AA wasn't from the big book. It was from members' observation while they were in recovery that self can't get out of self. To me, that's an incredible, profound observation. Yeah. Because obviously they saw self was using recovery to try to get out of self. Yeah. And so they came up with that. And I mean, for me, when I tried that shoe on, and when the evidence of my life wasn't so clouded by my trying to deny it and outrun it, when I allowed, life catches up with you when you get sober. I mean, it was trying to tell me that mystery, that you're not even, you're not, how you are defeated by self, but how does that defeat continue even after you've been defeated? You would think you would know better, but we're in the act of being identified as self. And that's what a lot of people, I don't believe, are seeing. Yeah. They don't see that even though it's not as crazy as it used to be, self is just adapted to recovery in a sense. Yeah. Yeah. And now it's a recovered self. Instead of recovery from self, you have a recovered self. Yeah. And I think that severely limits the possibilities of what's offered in the solution. And what's offered in this is in the solution is a solution from the solution, not a solution adapted by the problem. Yeah. I humbly believe it. So what, you have a reading or anything today? Whoever it is.
Sure. Yeah. So let me start with saying, welcome everybody to the reflections on the 12 steps. Just a friendly announcement. This is not an AA meeting. This is just one member's view on the exact nature of the wrong as described on page 64 of the big book and the solutions contained within. This is not an all share meeting. Those shares there will be, but actually a question and answer meeting with Paul. I actually, perhaps in line with what you were saying earlier, there was this one thing that you said last meeting that really struck a chord with me, and that is that the program is there to convince the problem in the beginning that it's going to get better. And I thought that was such an interesting statement, because that's really looking at the whole spiel of AA from the solution. So perhaps that's an interesting thing to talk about for this meeting.
Yes, isn't it? If this is just humbly from me, from hindsight, when I got sober, I was suddenly thrust into a probationary period where the head that had been narrating itself as a thief took the policeman's narration. And then the policeman narration played God, where, you know, every moment was profound. If I made a left on Haight Street or a right on Haight Street, it was going to change the destiny of my world. Yes, it was just insane, and I couldn't take a shit. Yeah, it was like the sphincter was so tight. I was trying to be perfect. And and then it was bringing back memories of why I went towards the thief, because when I was young, the policeman was running the show, and it was like fucking like being wrapped like a little mummy in a way. And I wanted out, and the only way I could get out, the only way I could get permission to get out was to act out. Yeah, so I did. I acted out, and there was some benefits from that acting out. I wasn't following the policeman's narrative. Yeah, it gave me a little bit of room, to breathe, but it came with a huge amount of consequences. Yeah, because when I started to drink, it was quickly recognized that I had magnetic appeal to people in uniform. In other words, I put out like a dog whistle, and I attracted consequences. Yeah. And of course, I felt I didn't deserve this, because to me, getting loaded was medicine. I was getting relieved from this bondage of self. And this fucking probation officer, where if I went to school and a pretty girl said hello to me, I would go home and wonder what she meant by it for 5 hours. It's just fucking insane. I wanted relief from that. And I was willing to pay any cost, so one of the aspects of how alcoholism appeared in me was I was willing to pay any consequence tomorrow to feel comfortable now. Yeah, I did. I knew it wasn't going to go well, but damn, yeah, I wanted to feel different. So, so, uh, when I had to do esteemable acts to convince myself that I was all right, a little bit all right, that I deserved maybe something better. Yeah, I did. God wasn't demanding it, or the higher power wasn't demanding it. The requirements were on my side. And I think a lot of the action steps is just to keep us busy so the solution can work on us. Yeah, I do. So was my observation in the first couple of years. Yeah, and I worked with people that I had to tell them stop doing inventories, because they were incessantly doing inventories about the most mundane fucking thing. And I felt it was an obsession with self, literally. Yeah, and so I wouldn't have said it, but I was playing the role of sponsoring, so I had to say it. Yeah, because if I'm not their sponsor, I'm not going to say a lot of stuff. But if I've taken on the responsibility of being the sponsor, I'm supposed to point out this shit. So I did. Yeah. And I'd say, put down pen and, put down the pen and paper and enjoy being sober. So I think a lot of us are withheld. We live a life that there's a certain permission that's withheld from us. Yeah. And we have to be like an animal that, when my dog comes over to me, I just give it the treat. I don't ask it to fucking sit down or give me its paw. I don't want to have to do that. That's what my head likes to do. I have to jump through a hoop or do this to do that, or work really hard to to earn to feel okay for an hour. I'm not into that slavery. Yeah. So there's like, I feel many people are in a state of withheld permission. And something that I call, and we call in recovery, playing God, is playing God. And it's doling out permission or taking it back based on its fucking whimsical, crazy idea of you. Yeah. So you're jumping through hoops a lot. Don't you? Oh, I worked really hard, therefore I can enjoy myself. In other words, you can't enjoy yourself unless you work very hard. To me, that's slavery. I mean, that's something's playing God. And I don't believe there's any requirements on the spiritual side. So we have to fulfill a couple of requirements, or when that which is dominating us isn't going to let any light shine in. So we use its own way of binding us to sort of release us by doing a program. Yeah. And the working steps are so important. But how does the steps work on you? They don't work you. I never sweated when I was getting one of the effects of AA. Yeah. You feel like something has happened automatically with no thought or effort on your part. That doesn't sound like a solution that we would get into. That to me is a solution from the solution. And that solution has no requirements necessary. I believe we hold all the requirements. And it's a form of playing God. And you got to play God with that which is playing God in the beginning. But you don't live under that reign for the rest of your sobriety. Yeah? Yeah. So we could not, at that point, we could not think ourselves into right actions. Yeah. We had to act right actions to get into right thinking. Yeah. So we were in the realm of the problem, and we had to use the problem to get out of it somewhat. Yeah. But when we start having the effects of the solutions, they change unbelievably as the pages go on. Yeah. You feel a new power flow in. You did not fucking put a pipeline and get a spigot and then work really hard and open that spigot, and you are now directing that new power flow in. No, you're just observing it. So a new power is flowing in. You sense the conscious presence of something. Yeah. These are unknown attributes we have that become known in recovery. Yeah. Because we're not what we're in the problem as, we're not of. We're not of the problem. We're of the solution. Yeah. We first call it a spiritual condition to try to override the mental condition. Yeah. But in fact, we are a spiritual condition. I don't think we're a mental condition and we need a little bit of spirit to chill it out. No, I believe in the hierarchy, we are a spiritual condition. And the mental condition has gotten oversized. Yeah. It's swelled up with interest and attention because there's been an obsession, a chronic obsession with this idea of self, which resides in the mind. Yeah. That which has defeated us resides in the mind. That's where it's made up. That's where it's reinforced. That's a mental condition. That mental condition is so swollen, we're not recognizing the spiritual condition. Yeah. So we have to affect, it's not building up a spiritual condition, it's diminishing the mental condition. We diminish the mental condition, and then the spiritual condition starts to shine. And because we're awake, we're going to notice it sooner or later. Yeah. And to me, that's the form of traveling lighter. Yeah. The mental condition, it's not going to give up the intention and interest willingly. Yeah. In a sense, it has to be forced to do it. Yeah. It has to come to a point of admitting complete defeat and shit like that, which it doesn't like. but it's brought to that by the light. Yeah. And then when the mental like tumor that's all swollen up shrinks, yes, then you start seeing life from a different point, from the solution. Then you start having communication with the solution. Yeah. Not through a middleman that's playing God, but directly. Yeah. So in the beginning, we got to convince that which is playing God that we're really sincerely interested in shit like that. And then we get squeezed out a little life. But basically, uh, I don't want a solution based on the problem. I don't. Yeah. I'll share like this. Everything's great, but it's really actually sucks. And yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm afraid to witness to the light. Oh, don't worry. I'm still as fucked up as I always was. Give me a fucking break. Yeah. So do you feel like you've been withheld permission? And is there a gatekeeper? And does that gate and the keeper seem to be in the head? I'd say so, yes. And so a lot of what we do is trying to convince that to give us a little fucking leeway. Literally. Yeah. I mean, why do people do yoga? Do they really like yoga? Or is it used to convince that they're trying to be healthy? Probably both. But I would say it's trying to convince themselves they want to be healthy. Yeah, literally. So yes, that's what I meant by that in that thing. So the only way we can see the solution when we're coming into AA is from the problem. We've been occupied and we're past the point of having a problem. We're identified as the problem. That's an extreme leap in problemhood. Yeah. So now the problem can do whatever it wants disguised as us. And therefore it's playing God on us, and it doles out permission and then takes it back, and then yes, and it plays like a god. Yeah. Are you afraid to meet somebody because of the somebody you want to meet, or the belief that you don't deserve to meet somebody? It's probably the latter. Yes. Something good happens, you're like, oh no, 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 no. What the fuck? You take responsibly for all the blame. Can't you receive fucking good? Yeah. Don't you? There's something there. There's something playing the gatekeeper, and it ain't spirit, because in spirit, it is a gateless gate. Yeah. All the locks, all the belief is on our side. Isn't that what it is? You do a lot of shit to convince yourself that you're okay. And then one little mistake unconvinces you. Have you ever gotten into meditation in a habit and you've been doing it for, let's say, a few years, and then you miss your morning meditation and you're thinking your whole day's going to suck? And then you try to go home at lunch and sit there for a half hour to make up for the missing in the morning. That's fucking bondage. That's slavery, isn't it? That isn't improving your conscious contact. It's been claimed to improve your unconscious contact with self. Yeah, that's my opinion and my experience. So, yes, that's what I see. In the beginning, the solution is like you get a parking space in the front of the meeting, or let's say you get a date. Yeah. Then after a while, the quality and the nature of the solution is quite different. Yeah. Maybe your atmospheric tube gets filled with acceptance. You're unbelievable. I didn't even know what that was for months. When I started to have sort of was breathing in acceptance instead of fucking seeking permission, because I'm unacceptable. Yeah. It was like, what? It was empty like air, but it was a much different when I was breathing it in and out. It was much different. than when I was trying to be good. Yeah, it's insane. Mm. See, some of the thing that binds us, we wear as jewelry, so to speak. Yeah. We've adapted to let's say the chains, and we're calling them a necklace. But their effect is a bonding. Yeah. The effect is a bonding. And then seeking permission to be okay. Yeah. To that which is playing God. Yeah. That's my little summation. Try it on. I'm not telling you that it's true or not. Feel it. If it feels like you can't you're like a dog, you got to do a trick to get a treat. Yeah. Jesus. Jesus. I, I've been really good to a lot of people all day. And then if something like happens in life that you would see bad, you're like surprised. I thought I would get something good if I've been good a day. Life is the way it is. Yeah. Yeah. Something going bad in your day doesn't mean you're fucking up. It's just the nature of duality. Yeah. Good occurs, what you call good, what you would call not good. Yes. It's how you travel through both of them is really the art of living. Yeah. Yeah. So, so what were we saying? Oh, yes. So that's how I feel. I feel we take the steps, then the steps take us, and then we are the living of the steps, which is we take the steps, and that's basic. The emphasis is on the problem. So we, as the problem, take the steps. The steps take us. Now the solution is becoming more dominant, and then we're living the steps, which is now the solution is telling us about the solution. Yeah. And the events on page 84 and all the promises sort of imply that this shit's going to happen automatically with no thought or effort on your part. It will be like you're reborn. All this stuff occurs that you could never produce. Yeah. Yet it's being produced in your life. Obviously. Where is it coming from? Not from the problem. It's coming from the solution we've been introduced to. Yeah. Does it feel, do you have to do more or less to maintain sobriety now? If you've been around, I would say less, yes. It's not like you start out with less and it always demands more. This is the opposite. You do. When it's said to, how did you react when you first read? You'll have to go to any lengths. Your head always meant, oh, miles and miles. No, any lengths mean it could be no length. How many times in your sobriety that you were called to do something and it was 1 a.m. and you started to put on your pants and they called you back and said, oh, don't worry, we took care of it. So it was the willingness that was really the point. And you were willing to get up and go. I haven't been called to do much at all. Yeah. It seems to have a trend. Yeah. The easier, softer way. What solution do you get in this world of problems that will make the problem not exist for you? That is a solution from the world of solution. That's a different form. Have you had a solution? Just look at here. Let's say you take pills. Something's wrong. You take a pill for it. That pill has some bad effects. Yeah. So the solution is inherently a problem also. Yeah. So then you want that first thing you started taking to get over something, there comes an addiction to that. Now you have to take another pill to wean yourself off of that pill. That's not a solution. Yeah. I don't see it. Yeah. I saw it start happening with me just a few years ago because of my love of being in the water. My knee was giving me trouble, my left knee, and it had been my good leg because my right leg is the mangled one. So I rely a lot on the left leg, and it was starting to buckle under all the effort. So the leg went out, boogie boarding in Ocean Beach, San Fran, in January, actually, like 10 years ago. So I got out. I started going to therapy for 12 weeks. The doctor said, "Hey, why don't you do what you love?" All right. I went to the beach, went out there. As soon as I got out there with the fins, the leg went out again. The knee went out. So I figured it was structural, and I pushed for an operation because I wanted to get back in the water. So I had the operation of the knee, not a replacement operation, and it went bad. Yeah. So now I came out of that operation, and the only time my knee was bothering me was in the water. Now my knee was bothering me all the time. So what did I do? I got to do another operation to clean up the first operation. Yeah. I do the second operation, somewhat cleans it up, still have some stuff. I said, I'm getting off of this operation boat. I'm not going to have another one. Yeah, because it's just going to lead. Yeah, on and on and on. So I said, fuck this. I'm not going to do it. And basically, I had gotten a concussion a couple of years before, and they had warned me if I hit my head again in the water, I'm going to die because I had two concussions. And the last one had shut my nervous system down. And I was lucky to survive. They said, if you hit your head, so maybe life had a plan to me to get me out of the water so that I don't pass away. I could see it that way. So then I basically was retired from surfing. Yeah, but I wasn't going to do any more of what was called the solution because they weren't solutions. Yeah, I got more problem from the knee when it was operated on than I had before it was operated on. So this is a whole different ballgame we're in. The solution isn't coming from the world of problems, which has opposites. So a lot of times a solution here has an adverse possibility. Yeah, it has other effects. We're having a solution that doesn't come from that world. Yeah. And it's a solution. The problem not existing for us when it existed as us for years is an incredible freaking solution. Yeah. For you and I not to have drank or used for 36 years is a mind boggling solution. Yeah. Yes. So that's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Of course, we have to seek solutions in this world, but usually, obviously, they have these repercussions sometimes. But in this case, the solution is not of this world. It is solution from what we call the higher power. Yeah. And you'll be weaned off that solutions always have to have a part of a problem. They don't. Yeah. You can have the solution that will allow you to see the problem doesn't exist for you anymore today. Unbelievable. Yeah. So I really feel we're in a different situation in recovery. Yeah. Because we're not relying on self, we're relying on a higher power. Yeah. And I don't want an understanding of that higher power coming from me. I want to find out how the higher power understands itself. And this is what I believe is constantly being downloaded in us. Yeah. And then all those writs of permission that you wanted to send to the fucking central office, they get ripped up. Yeah. You're not vying or trying to produce a condition of permission. You've given life permission to be fucking okay with you. Finally. Yes. Don't have to go through the middle person of the head. You got to earn it. You got just insane. It's insane. So, yeah. This is just an observation. I've been sober 36 years. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot in myself and in others. Yeah. I've seen how many people I've met, and very rarely did I meet the person. I usually met alcoholism. Yeah. And as soon as alcoholism started to call, first I would listen a lot. After a while, I found that was a disservice. And I'd say, fuck this, just go to a meeting. I don't want to hear it again. I don't want you to talk about the problem from the problem. I'm tired of it. Yeah. I am. As soon as I hear him on the phone, I know who I'm talking to. It's alcoholism. just, just the way it goes. Sometimes there's something behind there, and you may hear it like a little scream, a plea of, please help. Yeah. And then, all right, I'll pick you up and we're going to go to a meeting. But when it's just alcoholism, yeah, whatever. So, yes. Mhm. Okay, anyone else or anything? Martin, anyone?
There's no hands up so far.
We didn't read anything. We was just talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just my experience. Yeah. The old employer was confronted with what it had to do. When I started to do that, the new employer got in touch with me. Yeah. And then the rules of employment that the old employer had set up were revised and changed and pretty much disqualified. Yeah. And I started to have a new employer, and the new employer was not of the old employer. It wasn't a nicer, more loving old employer. It was a new employer that came with new freedom and new happiness, new attitude, and new outlook. Yes. Solution from solution. Yes. You feel it. It's different. You can feel it. I've been under the whip of the head, trying to earn to be okay for a few hours. Yeah. I have been there. Yeah. It's a form of slavery. Literally. And now I've been under the effect of the new employer, and it's just lovingly holds the space so you can lose interest in all the requirements your head has made up for you to be okay. And you'll find yourself okay. The urban renewal project will be canceled, and that budget will go to enriching your day and maybe someone else's instead of enslaving your day. Yeah. That's what we have to offer. There is a solution.
Sarah just asked in the chat, how do you get out of your head?
Well, if you really need to get out of your head, service, probably easiest way. And I don't mean service to people you know. Try to do it with strangers, because with people you know, there's other shit going on. But just go donate an hour to a soup kitchen. When you're handing this sandwich to the person, they don't care if you're doing it lovingly or not. They want the sandwich. So, yes, if you want to get out of your head, do service, and you'll see what it's like to be out of your head. And maybe you'll become familiar, and it'll become easier for you. Yeah. You always are living life out of your head. You're listening to a narrative about living life from the head. Yeah. And our interest and attention has been wedded to this narrative of the head. And this is really what's driving us crazy. Yeah. You're getting up just like everyone else gets up. You're getting a glass of water like everyone else gets a glass of water. You're doing this, you're doing like everyone else. But then most of us are driven by a narrative coming from the head that's eclipsing the experience of living. Yeah. And we try to live to change the narrative in a weird way. Yeah. Instead of seeing it's not your narrative. Yeah. You could see it with surfing. You'd be surfing, and then your head was really hoping someone saw you catch the wave. It's just the way it goes. And then the head's narrative, where it throws all its weight, is in the narrative of it, the interpretation of life. It just uses the living to jump to the interpretation. Yeah. Now you can just have racks on your top with a board and never go surfing. Drive around and you feel like a surfer. That's what the head's trying to complete. That's why a lot of surfing became a giant fashion statement. Remember fucking Quicksilver and Billabong? There were little stores in Australia. Now they're fucking massive. It's just like we're walking around being like a billboard for advertising, I'm this, look at the shirts, it's the intention of the narrative. It overrides the living of the life. It's just crazy. The thing is, the true way is to see you're not in the head. That's the best way to be out of it. Yeah, but if you believe you're in the head, then service is the best way. But truly, the understanding that you're always out of the head, actually. You have to listen to the head, yeah, to be in the head. You have to listen to it. There's got to be a devotion to it. Yeah. If you lose interest, you're out of the head all day, basically. Yeah. The head is still doing its thing, but you're out of it. Yeah. But the belief is that we're in it. This is the dilemma. Yeah. Yeah. I do not believe thoughts. Look at thought and then look at it as my thought. My thought seems to have a huge amount of effect. And the thought has a lot lesser effect. Who's playing the role of my? It's coming from us. It's our power that's being directed to the thoughts through the word my. That's how it goes. We're the unsuspected inner resource. We are it. The head knows it, and it's extracting energy from us. Yeah, it slips us an interpretation so that we give it our living. Yeah, yeah, it's trippy. Bondage of self is really true. Bondage of self. Yeah. And if you look at addiction, which is the primary addiction? It's the head's addiction to being a self. And all the other things we did was to try to get some relief from that. That's why the other solutions became addictions. Yeah, because the problem went with the solutions. You were the one that started using, you're the one, yes. So the you didn't, we wanted to get out of you, but it just built a bigger you. Yeah. But if you see it, the original addiction is the head's addiction to you, the idea of a long-lasting, independent, separate thing that's super unique and everything else. And this is why when we admit our situation and we're in a room full of people that are just like us, it really flips the head out because it really likes the idea of terminal uniqueness. And obviously, it's been disproved by going to an AA meeting because everyone seems to have your thoughts and your feelings and how you act and your actions to life. Oops, what? Yeah, they're not my thoughts. Not if millions of people have them. They're not yours. That's for sure. Ah. But I believe they're my thoughts. Yes, yes, for sure. Where did that belief come from? Not you. No. Yeah. So yes, anyone else? I'm so happy that the problem does not exist right now. I am. It's incredible. That elephant in the room has let that inner what's the person that furnishes a house? The decorator. My inner decorator could come out when that giant elephant in the room was removed.
Got a new interior designer, Paul.
That's right. It's very nice, man. It's very spacious. Yes. Ugh. All right.
No hands.
No hands. Oh, very nice. Well, let's just go then for the people that are new or haven't been here long. This premise that we're sharing comes from page 64 in the big book, where we're going into the inventory process. And they just talked about maybe you should look at your life as like a business inventory. Yeah, so maybe you could be fearless and thorough. But it basically says the exact nature of the wrong is self. Yeah, being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Okay, that's the admittance, and the attitude before it is being convinced. So being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Okay, we've got that in place. Now we're going to look at self's common manifestations. And then first one is resentment. So if you follow the diagnosis, resentment is a manifestation of self in our life. It's not our manifestation. It's our life, but it's not our manifestation. It's self's manifestation in our life. Yeah, let's get clear. And so is the fear, which is mostly actually mental anxiety. And then being willing and consistently running over people to get what you want, which would be the selfishness, self-seeking, and frightened. Yes? So being convinced of that, we are now going to look at its common manifestations. Now, I never heard that described to me when I went through in the beginning of my AA world. Yeah. I was taught to look at my resentments, my fears, and my harms done to others. Yeah. Which isn't what they say. They say they're not mine, they're manifestations of self in our life. It's not me. But it's good in a way to own it because, again, my trajectory was when I was young, I was responsible for fucking everything. If I walked in a room and someone yawned, I took it personally. Yeah. And when they broke the news to me when I was 6 that my father was very ill and he wasn't going to be able to play with me as much, my reaction in here was, what did I do to cause my father not to want to play with me? That's a really distorted sense of responsibility. Yes, which was huge in me, and I wanted to get out of that, and I became completely irresponsible. And therefore, it's very important to complete the trifecta. I have to see my role in things and take on responsibility again. But I do not believe that's the end of the investigation. I believe after we, in the 4th column, see our role in things, I hope it hits you that you see your role in things. It has to be a sense felt thing. I did an inventory and did not see the connection between the 1st column and the 4th column. I did not. Then I went to Joe and Charlie's seminar in Sacramento, and I did. These old dudes. Their understanding gave me an understanding to see the 4th column, my role in things. Then when I looked at my role in things, I saw self's role in things. And it was huge. Yeah. And therefore, I felt there's another wave of recovery, which is accountability. That's not built in the way I was introduced to it. I was introduced to these were mine, and it became clear what I did under the influences would be best described as I was driven, or something imposed itself on me. It didn't, I was not the fucking driver. And I got tired of this ignorance being passed on over and over again, claiming selves, which has defeated you through its manifestations, your manifestations, which I humbly believe will only further the defeat of self. Humbly. So this dawned on me like my 7th year of sobriety. I saw that word self, and it meant I saw it as foreign to me. Yeah. Past the point of like the disease, that was very helpful in the beginning, but I saw it as foreign to me, self. And as soon as I saw it, the possibility of being free from it became available. It was wild, yeah. And then I was shown in a weird way a scan of my life, and I had been trying to be free as self most of from about 6 or 7 on. I was trying to get out of me, unfortunately, as the me I was trying to get out of. I had no understanding that was going on, and now I do. Yeah. And here we are. Somebody built the platform, and here we are. We show up and we just entertain these ideas. If they work, great. If they don't, go to a meeting, whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah. But to me, understandings have been very profound in recovery, and this understanding has been huge, because I stopped calling resentments mine, and I've had a lot less resentments. Yeah, I see a resentment doesn't have much of a lifespan, but my resentment can live 60 years because it's living off of me, literally. Yeah, and I don't have that many teats to be sucked on, I just don't want resentment, fears, harms done to others. Yeah, forget it. So it's worked. Yeah, this idea of the nature of the problem is foreign, allows me to be free from it, and there it is. Yeah, and the solution really allows me to be free from it, to the point the problem doesn't exist as me nor for me right now. Not bad. Yeah, I don't think this is, you don't have to climb to a 22,000 height altitude. Just hear it and see what happens. Yeah, readily available. Yeah. Tell the truth. Is it fear, or is it mostly mental anxiety playing upon the emotion of fear? I'd say the latter. Yeah. Mental anxiety plays the instrument of fear, and it has us in the feeling of fear without an apparent threat. That's a bondage, eh? And the head can make mountains out of molehills. We know that. Yeah. Yeah. And I want to, now that I have the time for 2 minutes, I want to, share an extraordinary observation. When I came in, I gradually I gravitated toward gratitude and stuff like that after a year or two, because I was clear that something had and was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Super clear, with no argument. I was not the cause of my recovery or whatever. It's just obvious. Yeah. And when things went well, I was grateful and if I got riches, share them if possible. I'm not a believer that you have to have it to give it away. I believe if you're willing to give it away, you'll have it. Yeah. And then I see a very strange thing where many of us are totally into gratitude and giving it over to the higher power and all credit. But where does the blame go with the regime of the lower power? It seems to go to you. Like you did all that shit that you were driven to do while under the influence. This seems bogus to me, that we're so easily given the gratitude to the higher power, but we're not laying any accountability onto the lower power. We're paying for all the fucking tickets that it produced. Yes. When's that going to stop? When you go back, you feel like you were the doer of that shit. When you feel right now, are you the doer of the gratitude? Are you the doer of the sobriety? No. Well, you weren't the doer of the unsobriety. Something else was doing through you what you would never have done by yourself. Tell the freaking truth. I know people who have 45 years, and from when I see them at a meeting, I like the energy. I like everything, but they're still got a resentment of 46 years. That it's like a little altar that they pay, that they tithe to every day. I'm just not into it. Yeah. Yes. I didn't do that shit that I did. I made all the amends. Yeah, I did everything they asked me, but you're not gonna, you could grill me for a month. I'm not, there's no fucking way I got on all fours and was looking in my friend's rug for cocaine. I didn't fucking choose that. I was driven to the all fours. Yeah. And I just don't understand why the life we have now, we give all gratitude for the giving of this life, but the life we had then, we're taking all the fucking blame. I think this is an inordinate, a blown up solution to being afraid of not being responsible. Yeah. I think it's been taken too far. Humbly. Yeah. I know because the people, when they hear me, they have confronted me with, if I'm not responsible, all hell's gonna break loose. I think that's just an overcompensation of being that not responsible while you're out there. Yeah. So now we have to be always responsible. I don't believe that was our condition. I do not believe our condition was built up based on us. It was based on something foreign. Yeah. How are you going to recognize it if you keep calling its manifestations yours? I don't see how you're going to see it. Yeah. If I hear something and a person tells me, and then the next second they start talking about their resentment and their fear, they've just pledged allegiance to the problem. What are you going to do? It's habitual, but it can be broken. You can see it. Yeah. There's enough shit going on today. Why do I want to have a backlog of the past that I carry with every freaking day? You know what I mean? Mea coping or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't wise to give him this time. Yeah. But this is it, a humble observations from being sober continually for 36 years. Yeah. I believe there is a different flavor of a problem here and of solution from the solution. I believe when it starts moving through you, you'll know the difference. You'll know the difference of how the head downloads you and how spirit downloads. Yeah, you're gonna feel it and you're gonna become familiar with it and you'll be able to recognize it. Like it says, you'll have the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah, you will. Because the head will keep playing, it'll keep sending you its messages. It will. But its playing God days are over, pretty much. Yeah. When it says go left, I don't go left. If it says you should get loaded, I don't get loaded. So basically, it's a powerless little condition. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Martin. If there's no questions, I'm going to say goodbye. Yeah?
Still no hands. No, very,
Oh, yeah.
very serene meeting today.
That's very good, man. Hand-free meeting is great. Yeah. All right. So Walter, always nice to see him. He's making some food. Nice to see you, Walter. Yeah. We got Axel. See you, bro. Mickey, she's our permanent. We're going, be damned the spirit of rotation. You're our permanent greeter, Mickey. Yes. Rico Cruz, always a pleasure, Rico. Nice to see you. Jay, nice to see you. Joseph, you looking good? Yep. Marl. Stephen M, nice to see you, Stephen. Albert R, Albert, nice to see you. Will, oh, Will Harrison, nice to see you, Will. I'm hoping you got taken, you know, I spaced out all the time. People, it's not okay, but it doesn't seem to be that bad of a problem, so.
Yeah, we got our guy plugged in.
Oh, good, good, good.
I think I might see Dan Medina this weekend. He's coming here.
Oh, good. Yeah, say hello to Dan. That's good, Will.
Yeah, I'll take a picture if I see him.
Oh, great. Thank you. It was great to meet you and the gal. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that was fun.
James Lebowski, nice to see you, James. Did you get the money to get the half and half? You got it? The check's not gonna bounce? All right, good. We got Oliver in Berlin. Nice to see you, Oliver. I think that's that. Hey, thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure. Like that tradition, a loving God, a loving something is expressing itself through our group conscience. I think this meeting qualifies as one of those events. Yeah? Yes. See you.
Thank you, Paul.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you
welcome.
for having service my team.
Yes.